Hey guys, it's John. So if you're currently a personal trainer or you're an online fitness coach, undoubtedly you're trying to grow your business. Like who the hell isn't trying to grow their business? And to do that, we need clients, not only to earn more money and balance that with a bit of time freedom so you're not tied anywhere to like a gym floor, but also to fill up your day helping more people, because ultimately that's going to be the most fulfilling thing. If your day is stacked full of making a difference for other people's lives and helping other people, that's going to be a very enjoyable way to live your life. Not only the fact that you're helping so many more people, but you're going to create a positive ripple effect for their friends and their family as well, which ultimately, when you get around this number, that's like a critical mass where you're probably going to drive a lot of referrals, which feed back into inquiries anyway. So it's a really good thing to aim for. And in this video, I want to break down the exact strategy that I use to take my clients towards £8,000 per month or $8,000 per month, depending on where you are in the world. Why that number? Well, for us in the UK, that's around the VAT threshold. Beyond this, you'd have to charge an additional 20%, which can be a stickler for some people. Or you could take the hit. But I find it's a really good sweet spot initially to take clients towards, because at this income, you have a really good quality of life where typically you're earning a sort of at least 2 or 3 thousand above bills or significantly more. So you can do quite a lot with this income. And plus that quantum or that level of client base, you're quite busy helping other people. And like I said, your time is spent creating proper impact, and you have the luxury of being pretty financially free. So that is my minimum target. And that's like the initial, whenever someone joins my service, that's what I try and take them towards. And if you need direct help with that, you can always book in a call below. I can help you one-on-one. I only work one-on-one. It's just me. There's no one else in this business. But for those of you watching, you want a bit more information, let's go straight into it. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through the mass of what it takes. They're going to work out what two things we need to focus on, because there's a lot of confusion that goes on how to build your business, what strategy to use, and there's so much information out there. There's loads of different methods, but my personal method is focusing on, okay, how many clients are we gaining each week, each month, and how long we keep them. That's it. It's very, very simple. And if we kind of look at those two elements, look at those two targets, we then break down, okay, what strategy can we do? Let's test different methods. What do we need to focus on within those two fields? And that's it. And while I'm on the topic of it, excuse the vest, it's roasting here. Plus, I am showing off a little bit. Tuesdays, arms and backs, absolutely fine. But anyway, let's ignore that. Embarrassing. So, 8K per month. What do you need? Well, assuming you're charging 150, which is standard mid-ticket, I wouldn't advise going below that or above that. I mean, you could go anywhere between 150 and 250. It depends on your experience and your market. I'm not going to get into that in this video. I have other videos if you want to watch breaking down, niching down. Breaking down, niching down. That makes about sense, doesn't it? Roughly. But let's just assume 150. You need 54 clients on your roster to hit that income. So if you're really good and you have them for a year, each client, you need 50 for a year. Not hard maths, but what I like to do is target 8 months lifetime, 8 months minimum lifetime with each client we take on. Because if we can do that, it obviously reduces the burden on acquisition. But most people, it takes a long amount of time to make change, permanent change. If you're looking at getting someone through a fat loss phase, reversing them out, and then getting them some form of bulk or maintenance, I mean, ultimately, when you lean someone down, you need to add some muscle mass to keep them lean for like long-term health and long-term life. Plus, building muscle is very important for longevity. So many people accept 12-week packages as a given standard time frame, and it's a disaster for the industry. I think it takes 18 months to change long-term behavioral patterns in the brain, change the neurochemistry, change the pathways. So we're not going to go 18 months, but 8 months is what we're going to do. And then from that, what we need to work out is, okay, if we're going to have losing churn, we've got roughly 8 months minimum retention, and we want 50 clients per month minimum. Over the year, what we need to do is we need to sign up at least 6.25 clients a month. Obviously, we've got to find 6 people and a not quite midget-sized person, but someone between a midget. Is that politically correct? A dwarf or midget? I don't know. I'm in dangerous waters now. But okay, let's just round up to 7. We need to find 7 people a month. And what I've done is, okay, let's be conservative. Let's overdo that. Let's average at least two inquiries, 2 clients per week. That leaves us in very good stead for wiggle room. So all of a sudden, that becomes our metric for signing people up. Can we acquire 2 signups per month? If we can keep hold of them for 8 months, that's it. So that's the maths of how it works. So, I think it works out at 87. So not to throw random numbers at you. Or what do you see me to making this complicated? So 54 clients, is what you need if you have 12 months with each client. And if you have 8 months with each client, I think it works out 87. So if you're looking at a yearly basis, you need 87 clients. But when we break that down to like, okay, let's focus on monthly, you need 7 clients a month, or we're going to go, let's try and get between 1 and 2. Aim for 2 clients signed up every single week. So that's our 2 figures. That's it. 2 clients per week, keeping them for 8 months. And that will grow you to 8,000 a month, and it will hold you at 8,000 a month continually if we can maintain that. So obviously it doesn't always work out like that. There's seasons, there's low seasons, high seasons. But if that's our yield, that's what we want to aim for. So how are we going to do that? Well, firstly, what we'll start off with is actually retention, because you want to set up your service in such a way where you're not bleeding. There's square root of fuck all point in you signing people up, not having too much of a system to retain them, and you just bleed people through the door. I've actually been part of an old mentorship where all we focused on was acquisition, and we just beat the drum. How many clients you got on? How many clients you got on? And we push, and we never gave too much care to this. This was always an afterthought. And one of my clients, we were working our arse off for like a good, what was it, year and a half, 18 months. And we would hold around 40 clients, 40, 45, 40, 45, 45 years. So we couldn't get beyond that. And then all of a sudden, as soon as we start to turn our attention, push beyond sort of like 4-month minimum retention towards 6 months, push 9 months, look at the framework, the programming, communicate that. All of a sudden, when people stayed a little bit longer and the acquisition rate remained the same, he started to really, really climb. And you get this positive feedback loop where you get people staying on for longer, you get a better result for them. That attracts more indirect inquiries because the result's better, but also you build better relationships to drive more referrals. It really is an influx point. And it's kind of obvious, you know, you have more time to get a better result, more time to build a relationship with someone. It should be the focal point. So what can you do to increase your attention and achieve this? Well, the first thing, the most obvious thing is you can do a commit and save offer. So that is like talking to someone and saying, look, if you stay for 6 months, it's this much. If you stay for 12 months, it's this much. And you work out a discount. You can use payment splitters like Klarna. They integrate for free with Stripe if you're using Stripe payment processors. And with that, it's just an obvious thing where you can weight incentive for people for staying for longer, or you charge a little bit more monthly. So off the gate, off the bat, that's something you can do like right now, today, next 24 hours to implement to encourage people to stay a little bit longer. So they don't have to take the financial hit with a huge upfront payment. They can split it interest free, but if they do that, they pay in like lumps, but they save money in the long run if they were going to pay monthly. So initially you can do something like that. And then the second thing you could then start to look at is, okay, you as a coach, you need to think a little bit more long-term, because I tell you, I shit you not, your clients have no clue. They have no context. They don't have the knowledge you have. So when they're thinking about it, their imagination is like a puddle of mud. You know, they can't think of where they're going to be. So what you want is you want 2 goals. You want to show them a 6-month goal. I mean, realistically, like how much work could you do with them in 6 months? Typically after a cut, reversed out, so they're lean, they're probably a little bit fuller, that sort of thing. So can you do that? And then I would give them like a 2-year goal. You don't have to say 2 years with a time frame, but just communicating the fact that there is a bigger picture. There is a version of sales. Obviously, they're coming to you like 1.0. You're going to take them into 2.0, and then 3.0 is like somewhere here, sort of like 2 years down the line. That's when they've gone through probably 2 or 3 cuts, a good solid bulking phase, maybe another bulking phase, and they've added on more tissue. They're leaner, and their body is, yeah, looks good. I mean, imagine themselves on a magazine cover sort of thing, that level of good. So just giving them that vision can be enough, because again, most people come to you, they don't have that in their heads. Are we just going to flip a coin and wait for them to imagine it? No, I'll be fucked. We're going to actually get them to think about it from our perspective and lay down, and then start to get them looking at the horizon. So what you'll find is that, and then moving to, if you do that and you nail that really well, it typically gets you towards 6 months. And then we need to look at your framework, how you structure your service. Obviously everyone's different, but look, let's be honest. You get someone signed up and they look like Kevin, and Claude looks like Kevin, and then you look at Kevin's plan, you're going to duplicate Kevin's plan and go, here you go, Claude, brand new. You know, you don't have to reinvent the wheel every single time, but what you need to think about is, okay, why would someone stay with you? Why would they continue? If you don't have a roadmap or horizon, or things aren't going to change, why would they not go off? And it's like, I'll be honest, like, this pissed me off, because so many coaches just like, okay, cool, same again, let's go. Same again, don't show the horizon. And from a client's perspective, going through over sort of 6, 7 different coaches, if I feel like the app's not changing or that the plan's not changing, the check-in's like, cool, same again, rinse and repeat. And if I don't feel like there's too much on the horizon, I'm going to go, well, I could just literally just save my money here and just keep doing it on my own if it's not obvious. And if the check-ins, if you don't communicate that, if you don't communicate what's coming, what's changing, or what I need to be aware of, if you're not educating myself on things like, do I need a deload week? Do I need to listen to my body? Am I fatigued? Am I insulin sensitive? What are these markers? What are you looking at? And how is my body changing? What's the rate of change? You really need to communicate as best you can with clients. Otherwise, they're not going to think on your behalf, and they're going to just think, well, my tight ass is going to shrink because I want to save money and cost of living is really high. Whereas if you're educating them and they're a little bit more understanding of what's going on and they know change is coming and they're going to look forward to this phase, and all of a sudden they're going to look like a fucking Thor, that's more exciting, and that's worth, saving a couple of takeaways because they feel like they're tunnel visioned on the light and en route to that. And you just got to keep them on that path and keep them within that mindset, really. Anyway, rant over, done, ticked off. So framework is basically looking at how you structure the different phases, particularly with the bulk. Bulk, you find that people get really bored and they don't want to undo the hard work that they've just done where they're leaner. So this is where you can split it down to mini objectives, portion volume towards certain body parts, and get them focusing on probably weight progression, and just condense it down so they have little focal points, little things to tick off, and break down a kind of 6-9 month period where they can't see change because they can't see change to start off with, but they're starting to get a little bit of body fat, and then you can pull them back down again. So we want to really get towards that 8 month here. And then the little things you can do, progress reports, kind of do this already in check-ins, but show people the biggest contrast, reaffirm the fact they're making progress. A lot of coaches, it's hard when you're focusing on the day-to-day and your job is looking at, okay, what can we do, what can we refine? Don't forget to show them how far they've come, because again, they're so close to the process, they'll forget it. And if they feel like they're not making progress, why would I pay for this? It's such an obvious thing, but they don't do it. And then you can look at, okay, what can we do to kind of incentivize, create mini seasons? I mean, go to McDonald's right now, there's something going on. There's either, I don't know, was it the Big Tasty, or there's Taste of America, or there's Monopoly. They've always got things on rotation. So with that, what can you do to rotate, create a little bit of an internal competition vibe? Can you give stuff away? Can you give away like apparel? Can you give away coupon codes, supplements, just vouchers, basically, for little challenges and little seasons to get people a bit G'd up? And then lastly, it's the ultimate, it's people skills. It's obviously not as jazzy or as exciting, but if you're really good with people and you understand and you can 180 drop off situations, you're indestructible. And this is a huge portion of what I teach my clients, is I teach them how to use effective questioning and then spot the silences, spot the gaps, how to reply, how to get someone to respond when they've been ghosting you. All these little things where you can improve communication and dialogue, and you get people to lean into your service and communicate as much as possible. That is ultimately going to enable you, it's going to give you a higher likelihood to control the situation a lot more and serve that person more accurately. Whereas if you sign someone up and they don't really communicate and they don't really check in, we're screwed. So it's basically, how can we optimize every single scenario so we're doing all we can to make sure we're communicating, and if someone comes to us with a doubt, we can handle that with the right question. We can lead them to the answer, because people believe 92% of what they say, only 8% of what we say. So if we can use a question to lead them to the thought, so they say it, they're going to believe it a lot more quickly, and it's going to actually change behavior. And this is all that is. If we can have our ability to change their behavior a little bit more than us trying to influence and trying to say things and use statements, you're going to have a significant greater impact on your clients' lives. So ultimately, that's the goat for retention. But that's what you can do. So right off the gate, what can we do to structure our service? What strategies can we put in place to get towards that target of 8 months to make our life easier? If you need any clarity on that, if you're struggling with anything, or if you need direct strategy, you can book at a call below, you can inquire. I'll walk you through any one of these, and we can look at what the bottleneck is in your own retention if you're not currently averaging 8 months. Again, it's pivotal. So once we've done that, now the thing you're probably most interested in is acquisition. So how are we going to get more clients? How are we going to get more leads? How are we going to get more people off your following and into your inquiry form? So for us, we need 2 inquiries per week on average. Now, when we look at this, this is basically the funnel. So touching on this is the awareness. So 60% of the people in the market, in your following, probably don't have a problem. not wanting to change, not aware of anything, haven't seen them photo themselves on holiday where they look like a soccer cake mix or like a melted candle dribbling. I remember when I was canoeing once, and I do feel I was a kid, but created long-term trauma. Hence why I train 6 days a week. But I was like canoeing, and I think I was like 10, but I was canoeing, and then obviously I was stick thin up top, and it looked like a melted candle, and I was just like there, I could see rolls, and I mean, thank God I'm not Andy Elliott's kid. Jesus Christ. But anyway, I was just like that, sat down like that. And I remember just seeing it from the side and I was like, oh my God, I look awful. And from that moment onwards, I just got in, I need to train. And then I saw photos, obviously all the bodybuilding, like, yeah, just, yeah, Jesus is therapy. So anyway, 60% of the people are unaware. Then 20% problem where they have seen that photo, but they're not doing anything about it. You know, they're not making a change, but they know that there's an issue. They kind of got a taste of like, I want to do something. Sounds weird, taste. And then you got people actively researching, right, okay, I need to make a change. Who's going to help? What strategy? Keto, fasting, sugar diet. And then 3%, right, I know this is the strategy. I think this is the person. I'm pretty switched on. Just the final bit of proof. Will it work for me? Then will it work for me? Yes, it'll work for me. Bang, there you go. So there's different segments of the market. And the reason I'm showing you this is we've got different strategies we need to kind of put in place in order to convert and maximize your chances to get that too. Because most people only focus on this number. They only focus on the 3%. And they kind of wait and they just go, you gonna come? No. Fuck. So if we can accelerate people going through these brackets and going down the funnel, then you have a lot more likelihood to get towards our target of acquisition. And this is why me breaking this down, implementing this for my clients, one of my clients, he messaged me just today, got 100 clients, just past triple figures. His audience is just under 4,000. So he's not got a mega audience. A lot of my clients have audiences under sort of 5,000, and we can still earn anywhere between 8 and 20K a month. And it's because we're being efficient. So what we need to do is we need to start off with the biggest lever. I was gonna draw like a seesaw, but ultimately I thought it was stupid. So this is the best way I can like visually stimulate you. Is right. Okay, what does the bio look like, and what is your offer? That's probably the most important thing. How do you represent yourself? Because if you look at your Instagram, if you look at your profile right now, everything at the top down to the 3 pin posts, 98% of people do not go below that. So obviously that's the most important element of what people see. Are we presenting ourselves in the best light? Most people don't have their name. Some coaches don't have their name in their bio and their profile picture. One of the guys, literally the guy who got 100, his first profile picture, he was like this, doing like an epic trap flare. And I was like, thug, yob, middle class. So it was like threat display. And it was just like, probably freaked the shit out of people. I was like, okay, change that, smile a little bit, put the fuck up, and then make yourself obvious that you're a coach. Because, okay, that's one camp. You've got people who don't represent themselves, they don't put their name, they're not friendly, not approachable. And then the other camp is they're just vloggers. They don't look like they coach. They don't have anything about other people on their profile. They don't have anything in their pinned post. So you have to represent and you have to be very clear. And if you look at the bio, actually, I don't know if it's out yet, but I'm gonna do another video on this. If it's out, I'll put it up here on what to do to optimize your bio. So go and watch that and you know exactly what steps you need to take to optimize it. But you've got to present yourself off in the best light. And in the bio, you need to have who you help, how you do it, validation, proof, and then little things like, you know, the pin posts, one pin post on client results, show off your best work, one pin post on how the service works. And then if you can do a pin post maybe a bit about yourself, and then the highlights, client wins, testimonials, transformations, your own journey, maybe a bit of a funnel, little story highlight funnel where it leads people in and gets them to inquire. You have to set yourself up correctly, because if we don't do that, no matter how much effort we put into the rest, when people come look at us and we don't get a good conversion off that, we don't make the first impression well. Is that the right English? Don't make a good first impression. The irony of me saying that. Yeah, it's not worthwhile. So how do you represent yourself? And then the offer, is it clear what you do? Again, a lot of people have a confused offer, and I don't mean guarantees here. I just mean, what problem do you solve? And is it obvious that you have a method of doing it? Even if your method is just calorie deficit, you want to be able to describe that in a bite-sized way so people get it. You have like 4 seconds for people's attention. And if people can have clarity, voice went weird. If they have clarity on what it is and they know who it's for, that's what we're trying to achieve. So first step is representing yourself off in your best light. Then the second step is content. So content, a combination of these two, that should target the 3%. So that should target the people who are kind of semi-interested, who pretty much decided that you know what you're talking about. And then a combination of, obviously I've got more videos on content, but content where you build it around problems that you know your target market face, you build it around showing elements of the framework to present yourself as a solution, and then showing client results and proof. So putting out content on a daily basis and using a combination of short form content where you're using very short reels to kind of capture and get higher visibility, because they're easier to watch. When it's easier to watch and get higher watch time, that's going to get seen more. So getting effective at short reels to pull people onto the page, slightly longer reels to obviously make more of a connection with people, maybe carousel posts to show off a bit more of your story. All these little things fit into the structure, and it's basically a 4C structure. You've probably heard of it before, but very simply, you've got capture attention, you've got connect with people, you've got convince them that you can help them with proof, and then you've got can you get them to convert? And that's typically call to action content. And if the messaging's dialed in on point, and if you're stuck with any of that, you can message me below, I can help you. But if the messaging's on point and you're putting an even number of call to actions out and you're asking your audience to inquire, a lot of people don't. A lot of people just post and assume and wait. Got to be damn obvious now. You're asking people to inquire and you're giving them a reason for what's coming up, and I want that. Then we can measure, okay, how effective? How many call to actions have you done? How many inquiries did you get? How much content are you putting out? What is the ratio? Cool. We've got some data. What do we need to improve? So on and so forth. So you've got to put it out there. But if you do that well and you present yourself off in the best light, it's obvious, that should take care of this 3%. So, that might be enough for you depending on your audience size. If it's not, you can then look at stories. And this is where the next layer comes in, because stories, this is where you can engage people. Obviously, you can use stories for polls, quizzes, Q&As, rating scales, show off a little bit more of your life, a bit more personal. This way you make better connections with people and then start more dialogue a bit more naturally, because 19 out of 20 people typically won't reach out. Most people don't. So if you want to be a bit more proactive, and again, with Shane's example where he went from 2.5K to 2.4K towards 22K a month, who's had a huge 9-fold increase in his income. It came from starting conversations. There's a lot of people in his audience that were interested. It just really wasn't clear because we didn't have the offer dialed in when he first joined. And we had the service structure was a bit all over the place. He had seasonal things going on. People had to wait. As soon as we communicated differently and then started to reach out to people, there's a lot of people who would just go, yeah, actually, that sounds a lot better. Can I do that? But they weren't going to think of it if we didn't get in contact. They didn't have the information if we didn't get in contact. So we got in contact. So stories, DMs, that's like another layer where you can probably find more of this percentage of the market who are kind of don't have the information, probably not going to watch all of your content and work it out themselves. You might need to kind of make connections and do it authentically. Don't be a twat when it comes to that. And there's obviously nuance on that, but building conversations obviously is important. And then you can look at, okay, free resources, because what you'll find is above this bracket here, some people are not in a position. They're not ready. They're not researching. They're not finding a solution. So they've seen that photo of themselves looking like a sock full of cake mix. So, okay, right, from here, what do I do? And maybe this is it. Maybe that's the strategy. Maybe that. If you have a free guide, we educate them a little bit further. And again, the beauty of this is like, cool, here's a guide for an early problem. A lot of people screw this up, by the way. Here's a guide for an infancy problem that you're experiencing right now. Oh, I've solved that, tick. Okay, now I have a lot more questions. Now I need more help. And that's it. A lead magnet should be condensed around one specific issue earlier on in the process. And if you do, when you niche down, you should do something called the problem path. Real quick, what's like a 2-year journey? Whatever's at the beginning of that journey, whatever the struggles and barriers are at the beginning of that journey, that's what you want to create a lead magnet around. And then once you've got that lead magnet, you can then give it out to people, distribute it. This is where you can do it off content, you can do it off carousels, comment this, DM me that, send me this post, blah, blah, blah. You can start to build an email list, and you can just start to build a nurture list, and you have people you've asked the audience who's interested in potentially improving the way they look and feel about themselves. Me, no, not you. Okay, cool. You guys, use the guys I probably need to use. What am I, Irish? Use the guys I need to probably look and concentrate on, and then build connections with and nurture and see how I can help further and spend my time on you rather than everyone. So this can ultimately catalyze and make you focused on the right part of the market to build and nurture effectively. And you can do that with DMs, you can do that with just being a human being, you can do that with email, you can set up email sequences which happen in the background. But again, long form content, if you have a podcast, if you have any other resources, this is where you move them away from short little snips of you where they're probably not going to watch all of it because they're stupidly distracted on the platform, but they might read and consume more information. They might be in a better headspace to actually take on board your messaging and what you have to say. So again, that might help accelerate people pushing down the funnel further and further. And then lastly, once you've got the system in place, so we know we're collecting people who are interested, cool. In time, the content will do its job. We might message people, that might help to get them to inquire. Those guys, you're not ready yet, cool. Okay, we can look after you outside of our time. Here's resources. Once you've got that system in place, then it's a question of traffic. Eyeballs, attention, volume of people entering. Once you've got this system, funnel people into it. And that's where you can look at an aggressive organic strategy. We can refine, look at content. How good are your hooks? What views are you getting? How can we improve this? Meticulously, constantly refining and improving so your content, your organic content can get more visibility. Or we can look at a paid system where, let's just say you've got an ad going out, Reels, collect data, put it back into the pixel. And then once you've got the data of who's viewing you, you then remarket those people who view you. You can do it on stories so that it's easy. They're in the story function. They can click something, they can get the resource, and then you can funnel people into this and you can accelerate the volume of people going from here to here. And then, like I said, the system we built and everything we're doing, daily habits, how we turn up, how we present ourselves, content, communication, all that sort of stuff, that's happening in the background. So you'll find that we build a system for this and then we work out how then we accelerate people down through into that. And that's pretty much it. Obviously, different nuance, different stages, but that is how we set up, and those are the tasks we need to do. And I'd start off in this order, going one all the way up to this one, because again, that's the biggest lever, then this, then this, then this. There's no point starting traffic if we haven't got any system in place, because you're literally just pouring a tap with, well, there's nothing underneath it. You're just turning a tap and not collecting anything, especially when we're not focused on that. So I hope this helps. As I said, if you have any questions to that, you can message me below. Generally want to help as many people as I can with my free content, because I believe that if I can help 98% of you out for free, there might be 2 of you who might need implementation and specific guidance with any of these strategies. So hope this helps. See you in the next one.